Hi everybody, it's Michelle here from Soloing Canada, Musings from Midlife, and thank you so much for visiting today. And I did a video on identity and it turned out to be quite long, so I've split it into two parts, and you're about to view part two. So if you haven't viewed part one yet, I would suggest going back and doing that one first and then coming back and watching part two. But if you just want to jump in, then in part one we just talked about what identity was comprised of, and why people might feel lost, and ways that they could start to search out what is going to be part of their identity moving forward. So in part two now we're going to be talking about sometimes the resistance you meet from other people when you are starting to change things. You're examining your values and you're looking at the way you've lived your life in the past and the way you want to live it in the future, and you're sort of going through this weird place where you're feeling lost and you're trying to redraw the map. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in part two today, and check it out. And don't forget that I do have a blog as well, and if you like and subscribe just down below, please, that would really help me to get my videos to be seen by other people. Thank you so much. So I hope you enjoy the topic today, and if you have a chance to put on some running shoes and go for a walk while you've got this playing on your phone and just listening to it, that's awesome, because I'm always encouraging people to keep moving. It's important to get out and move more than once a day, because if you just move once a day and you sit around the whole rest of the day, that's not as good for you. So you need to get out several times. So if you feel like it, get some headphones and some running shoes and head on out and listen to it while you walk. So it's all of those moments and those thoughts, and maybe you're having them right now too at this age, as you explore things and you take on these new identities. I know somebody that started painting and they were afraid to call themselves a painter. But that's exactly what they were. They were a painter. It's not about what you get paid for. When it comes down to your self-identity, sure, if somebody said, what's your professional identity? I don't know. I think it might be questionable if I said I was a writer. But when it comes down to self-identity, that's up to you. And there isn't anybody who can tell you that that isn't you. So you get to do your own explorations, decide what your passion is, decide what you always wondered about, take some steps in that direction, and that becomes a part of your self-identity. Now, one of the things that I would like to bring in here is the opportunity that we have as solos to do this and to do it well. And that's because we aren't being influenced or compromised. And I don't mean that to sound in a terrible way, but we can't purely go after our dreams when we are in a committed partnership. Because in a committed partnership, unless you're in a very unusual one, the norm in society is that both individuals give up a little bit of their own individuality in order to help the partnership to be healthy and grow as a partnership. And that means there's some compromise. Could be the compromise on where or how they live. Could be a compromise on time, how much time they can allot to their dream when they have a partner who is expecting a certain level of companionship and support on the home front. And we don't have to get somebody else's agreement to move forward with our dreams, and we don't have somebody observing us. And when I say observing us, I mean to say that by being a solo, and particularly if you live alone, so you're not sharing a house with family or roommates, you have a lot of private time where nobody sees what you're up to. And that gives you an opportunity to take your first few steps when you are unsure and insecure without people watching. Because the minute we have an audience, we alter our behavior a little bit. And that really just comes from us all in society being kind of convinced or encouraged to follow a traditional path. And so we are changing the game a little bit and switching gears. We're not ready for questions, and we may not be ready to, you know, to defend our choices or to let others know that we know what we're doing, because we don't. We don't know what we're doing. We're just testing it out. We don't know if that's going to stick. We don't want to be, watched the whole time. And so we do have that advantage if we're solo, that we have more freedom to be, just defenses down, vulnerable, and just go for it and open ourselves to ideas, almost like a brainstorming session where some of these ideas might work out and they might be just stupid and unrealistic, but we're just going to throw out all these ideas. But it's very difficult to do that if you have a spouse right there in the house watching everything you do and wondering why you're spending money on certain things, because maybe some of the choices you make require a little bit of investment. We also don't have to argue with someone about whether that investment is worth it, particularly if funds are tight. My funds are quite tight right now, and I get to decide what to prioritize the money on. I can't afford to put money towards every single category, and no big deal if it doesn't work out. I do have to make choices, but I get to put money towards self-discovery because it's important to me. And nobody can say, well, that's a little unfair, don't you think? You're being a little selfish, don't you think? So we have this advantage. Having said that, because there's always two sides to a coin, I would encourage you, once you've had a little bit of exploration in some area on your own in privacy, I do encourage you, even if you haven't decided whether it's for you or not, to share with the people that are in your world what you're doing. Two reasons. One, they might suspect something's up, but they don't know what, and you don't want them attributing it to something that isn't real, because that's what we all do, and creating a whole story around it when that isn't the truth at all. But two, I think that part of self-identity is having an ability to stand in your truth and to be authentically you. And if you're hiding things about yourself to the people who are closest to you, you're not yet being vulnerable enough to be authentic and be brave within that identity. And so I would encourage you to not let it go too long where you're doing things in private, and to just tell people closest to you. You don't have to take out a billboard on the 400, but just let the people know closest to you that you're in an exploration phase, that you're kind of feeling in this weird spot where you don't know if all the old you is fitting anymore, and you feel like you need to find a new you, and you don't know if any of the things that you're going to try out are going to stick, but you're kind of exploring. And thing is that if you don't explore, I think that you will continually have this feeling of low level anxiety or low level feeling of potential depression or discomfort, because there will be something deep within you trying to whisper to you that something doesn't fit, that something isn't sitting right anymore. And I think that's when people say they feel lost. I think that we have a hard time defining it, and so we say lost. But you're not lost. You're on the verge of walking down a new path. You are at the beginning of an adventure. You're not lost. You just went off the map that you'd have drawn for yourself in the earlier days. And so you stop because you take that first step off the map, and you stop and you think, I don't see a path. I must be lost. No, you're not lost. You're just in maybe that little, you know, dim lighted, the dimly lit part of the forest path where you come around the corner and you've never taken that route before, so you don't know what you're about to come upon. Doesn't mean the path's ending. It means that there's something really exciting coming, and the best part is you get to draw the path. I had to change the video. I had to turn the video off for a second because that boat was so loud. At any rate, you're about to draw a new path, and that's the most exciting, is that this path nobody is going to draw for you. You get to draw it all by yourself because you've reached that stage in life where you can start to think about yourself and your best interests. You aren't a child yet you aren't a child being influenced by parents that are telling you what you have to do. At this time, your choices are going to be what's in your best interest moving forward. Think about you when you're old and gray and you're looking back on your life and you're thinking, did I live it the way I wanted to? And if you think that there is anything that in the future you would look back and think, yeah, I wasted a lot of time. I actually really didn't get to any of the stuff that I wanted to get to, then it is time for you to make a change now. At this point in midlife, you still have a lot of years and a lot of living ahead of you. And I really think that once you start to take these tiny steps in the direction that you would like to test out, I think that you will learn from that what the next step should be, and the next step, and the next step. If you don't take any steps, you kind of sit in this confused place for much longer than you need to. It doesn't matter that you know where you're going, just start going and you will reroute as you go. You'll be like a little, GPS that you have where it will just keep saying rerouting, rerouting. Just move forward as best you can, trying little things out. And the other thing is, I think that you should pay less attention to some of the noise out there from other folks who are trying to deter you from changing. Now, I say some of the noise because obviously people who care about us and love us, if they see us making a huge mistake that's going to be detrimental to us, we certainly should pay attention and ask them why they think that. And I mean, maybe they're bringing something up you didn't think about. And maybe it doesn't mean moving away from changing your identity. It just means that maybe there's a more sensible way of pursuing those new interests and new attitudes and new learning. However, there are many people out there who may find that they meet with resistance from the people in their life, not because what they're changing in themselves is, either dangerous or of risk to them, but it's threatening to the other people in some way, because people don't like the other people in their world to change. That's natural. And the reason why they don't want them to change is because they're afraid that those changes will eventually lead to the person they care about saying, you know, I think that we should not spend so much time together. I no longer want to be involved in these activities with you. And that's a fear that they don't want to realize. So they might be trying to deter you from making these changes to yourself. You also might meet with some resistance from people who feel stuck in their own confusion at this time of life. And their initial response might be one of a little bit of jealousy, because you seem to be bold and courageous enough to go after new ways of thinking, being new values and new activities, and the way you allot your time. And I don't think that you should hate them for that at all. I think that that is a part of the human experience that is in all of us. And it's really more about what they're going through and what they need to work through than it is about you not going after your dreams or, your self exploration. You still need to do that for you. You cannot live to make somebody else happy. Their happiness is not your responsibility. And your responsibility between now and the end is to go after things that are in your best interest and your happiness. And when you do that, you will have so much more to bring to the table to the people who love and care for you. And those people who might be resistant to you changing ultimately will see you as a model on how they can go after their own dreams too. They might not see it now, but ultimately, what I usually see is and is that they also make changes because they've been inspired. Just like you're going to be inspired by hearing about what other people have done and reading stories about what, other people are doing. So don't get discouraged and not go after your self discovery because of people in your world. Now, at this changing time in your life, and I say this for everything, I know, but self care is important. And you can really ease some of the constant talk in your head by making sure that you are carving out a lot of time to take care of yourself by eating well, preparing wholesome food for yourself. Get out and exercise every day. And if you hate exercise, I'm not meaning go to the gym. It doesn't have to be the gym. Just get out and get moving. Make sure you move your body. And so if you're taking care of